This is completely on me, but there has been a little bit of confusion between my book Starlit Omen and Anathema's Curse. Starlit Omen is the book that I have out right now. This is a completely reimagined retelling of my debut novel, Anathema's Curse. The only difference in the covers are the colorations, my original having yellow and my new version having pink. And obviously the title. Now, Starlit Omen is completely different as far as my growth in writing goes, as well as many other things. There were new characters introduced, new scenes, and a new direction of where this story was going to go. Now, there were a million reasons that I rewrote my debut novel, Anathema's Curse. One of those reasons being that I grew a lot as an author and a lot more confident in my writing. There was so much more that I wanted to go into the original story. However, I ended up letting a lot of people dictate every decision that I made. For example, and this is just one small example, I had a girl literally tell me that one of the original scenes that I had in this book was not at all how an SA victim would respond to an SA situation. The thing that bothered me the most about being told this was that scene was wrote from the experience of myself. And so what I ended up doing was completely deleting and rewriting that scene, and I absolutely hated myself for that. And I still do. Like, my heart is pounding right now at just saying that out loud. My voice was almost entirely stripped away from this story because I let the very differing opinions of many others, again, dictate the path ahead with how this story turned out. So fast forward, after hating myself for much too long, not just because of that scene that I changed, but many other things in regards to this book that took place on social media and the way that I let people direct everything in my life when it came to this book, I decided to completely do away with social media and take time to hide away and rewrite the book entirely. I needed the book to come truly from my soul and my own voice and not have someone and many other people influencing how it turned out. And now I have Starlit Omen. In this story, I am so very proud of because I kept very true to myself through and through. And as a matter of fact, Starlit Omen speaks of SA quite a bit, the fight against it, and the struggles that come with it. That was something that I made sure that I was not going to feel ashamed about or let anybody make me feel ashamed about. How you respond to an SA situation could be very different to how someone near and dear to you responded to it. That does not make you any less a victim of it. Now, there has also been some confusion as far as the title goes. So Anathema's Curse, the reason that I titled it Anathema's Curse is because the character's name is Anathema. This was a play on the word anathema. Anathema means someone that is detested or abhorred. This word also used to mean a sacrificial offering set aside for the gods. However, that is not the definition of the word anymore. That is a very old definition. However, I felt like it was very suitable for my character, and so I named her Anathema. And because she's the one dealing with the curse of everything, I named it Anathema's Curse, which is why you have Anathemas with an apostrophe, because she is the one possessing this curse. Now, I took this book completely off the market. You cannot get it anymore. I wanted to completely do away with it, strip everything about this story, and only focus on the new version, which is Starlit Omen. I'm addressing this because there is a book that is available on the market that became available very recently, also titled Anathema's Curse, and the Anathemas has the apostrophe as if the curse belongs to the name Anathema. What was strange about that book, I looked up what was inside of that book, and none of the characters' names are Anathema. So I'm not sure why someone named this book Anathema's Curse. I also looked up the author and could not find anything at all on that author. So I was very thrown off by this. I also recognized that the title of their book was the font from my book. That was even stranger to me because this font was specifically purchased by the designer of this book cover for this book cover. There has also been some confusion as far as the word anathema, because there is also a book called Anathema. This was a book, I think, that was published a year after I published Anathema's Curse, and this was also one of the reasons why I changed my book title to Starlit Omen. I knew that because the writer of Anathema was such a big author and she already had her foot in the water, that my book was going to be buried in the rubble below hers. And so no hate against that author. I love that she's so successful. However, I just didn't want something as significant as the name Anathema to get confused with the book Anathema. One of the other things that I'd like to clear up, just to make sure that nobody gets confused as to my pen names, my original pen name that I went by for Anathema's Curse was Rachael S. Loper. However, I decided to cut that short when I rewrote Starlit Omen to symbolize the change and growth of myself as an author by changing the name entirely to R.S. Loper. So it does appear as if I am writing by two pen names and writing two completely different books. So if you go on Goodreads, you will see that there is Rachael S. Loper and then there is R.S. Loper. Those are both me. They're under the same profile. No, I am not writing two different types of books under each pen name. Rachael S. Loper is a dead name, whereas R.S. Loper is the pen name that I will forever go by from this point forward. So with Anathema's Curse, there were two covers. There was the special edition and then the standard edition. When I rewrote Starlit Omen, I wanted to do the same thing, have a cover specifically for the standard and one specifically for the special edition. So this special edition cover for Starlit Omen was actually just released very recently, like a few days ago. And if you look at the old cover of Anathema's Curse, you'll see that there are some similarities here as far as the bird on the very front goes. Now pay attention to this cover, because inside the standard and the special edition on the first few pages, so when you open up the book, there is this page right here. This was to match the original cover of Anathema's Curse to signal out to anybody who had read that book, let them know, hey, this is a reimagined version of that book. They are still connected, they still relate. There are still the same characters. However, there are added characters. There are still a lot of the same scene type situations. However, they are greatly improved. There are still the same type of relationship dynamics. Those are also greatly improved. Anyways, I hope that clears up any confusion that could possibly be had in the future. And again, Starlit Omen is a rewrite, a reimagined and improved version of Anathema's Curse. It has nothing to do with the book Anathema. And the book Anathema's Curse that is available online right now, that is not my book. If it is not one of these two covers, then no, I had nothing to do with writing that.